the $1 Million Mortgage Experience podcast. All right, everyone, welcome to the show. We got a special guest today, Mark Dodson. He's the founder of Mortgage Capital Advisors, a boutique private mortgage banking firm in Atlanta. And they specialize in jumbo loans and helping self-employed borrowers. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me out.
Yeah, it's a long ways from Atlanta.
It is. I had a little trip lined up anyway, so I said might as well take advantage of this and come out and see y'all.
This is the left south.
Yes, yes. So
I love Atlanta though. We have a lot of stories that we're going to share about Atlanta, about mortgages, and about jumbo clients, and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So tell us how you got into the industry, because that's always right. Like, you get in, sometimes you can't get out. Yeah,
well, amen. That is it, and it's a blessing at the same time. I was in banking. I grew up on a farm, in outside Montgomery, Alabama. Okay. And my brothers, I have two older brothers. We never not worked. Ever. I mean, we were
Farmers
working.
are hard workers.
My grandfather had the farm, and we went down there every weekend, and then we built a house when I was 15. But I was every weekend, 6, 8 years old in the hayfield. My brothers too. So both my brothers and I, we have never not worked. And so I was in banking at 21 as a collector. Okay. And region.
I started out as a collector.
Yeah.
Too.
Best thing I ever did.
It's the best training, right?
Yeah. So.
Because no one likes you if you're a collector.
Oh, my God. It was,
you get beat up a lot in the beginning, right?
So I was 20, and it's so funny. I texted my high school best friend since 7th grade, and Joe and I both started at First Alabama Bank, which is Regions now, in 1983, 22 years old. Okay. And I looked like I was 16, so I was the outside collector. So they would say, hey, Mark, go see Mr. Maddox and tell him you need 2 payments or his car. So I'd walk up to the...
Oh, you did collecting in person.
Oh, I'd go up there and say, "Hey, Mr. Ranks, I need 2 payments or your car," and so
what would they do? They'd probably shut the door.
They gave me 2 payments, or we arranged to get the car. Yeah, wow. But I learned just how to work with people. I mean, I didn't drive it. Oh, I did drive it off sometimes, but so you learn that. It taught me early about credit worthiness. Yeah, and knowing what you better do, and it just taught me how to interact with people in not so good in situations. And usually we worked it out though. Yeah.
And I'm sure you came across from a kind-hearted place, right? It's like versus like, hey, give me your car, give me 2 payments.
I was usually scared walking up there. So
right.
16. Like I said,
you're in the South, so they might be carrying a gun.
Looked like I was 16 years old.
Right.
Blue blazer and khakis.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started that.
How long in that?
A collector, probably about a year. Then I went into a branch management position, management training program. Then I moved to Barnett Bank in Sarasota, and then I used to turn problem branches around. Came to Atlanta. I went there April 13th, 87. Left there April 13th, 89. Came to Atlanta when Barnett Bank bought some banks. Turned offices around. Youngest VP in 2 states. Okay. So I thought I was going to be a president of a bank one day. And one day I walked in the branch, and an operations manager who's I was trying to train has been out of place for 6 months, and I've told my supervisor she's out of place. Left the vault doors open to the safe deposit box. Ooh. No money's exposed. Other people have done it. Right. And they said, now we can fire Gail. My boss said that, and I said, well, I'm not firing her. That's not right. She's been out of position, widow, working 2 jobs, 2 kids. And they fired me off. So Memorial Day weekend, 1991, and I needed a job. So I got in the mortgage business. Banking was sort of in a recession area, so I got into the mortgage business.
Was that during like the SNL crisis? I know it was like in the 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe because I got in the mortgage business in the late 90s, not in the early 90s.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I remember that well, though. But yeah, so I got into the mortgage business because I needed a job. Yeah. Yeah. And so,
were you in working for a broker, or were you working for
I went to Norwest Mortgage.
Okay.
The top producer at Barnett Bank left and went to Norwest, and he called me and he just said, "Look, you can do well in this industry." Got there for about a year, hated it with the passion. I was a VP of a bank. I was professional. Yep. I'm not going to be some damn originator. Hated it for a year.
You thought originator was the
lower than me.
Lowest on the totem pole.
Yeah, yes, too low for me coming from a farm. Yeah, so then my draw ran out, and I was going back to banking. First Union in Jacksonville. My old boss at Barnett, Florida, had moved over. He said, "I'll hire you back in a heartbeat." And so I was going back to banking, and I'm an elder Peachtree Presbyterian, large Presbyterian church in Atlanta, one of the largest in the country. And I was not then, I was just very active. So I called our senior minister and said, look, I'm leaving. And he was like the Pope of the Presbyterian church. We had a lot of CEOs at our church. He just knew business well.
Yep.
And Dr. Harrington said, I'll see you Saturday morning at 10:40 in my office. And he said, why are you leaving? And I said, well, I'm out of money. I need a job. He said, Mark, I know a lot of people in their 20s and 30s making a lot of money at this church, and you can too. Mm-hmm. So if you stay put, I promise you it will work out. Yeah, the truck was supposed to pick me up on Tuesday. I was reporting to work on Thursday, and I called them Monday and said, I'm not coming. And I just changed mortgage companies like 2 weeks prior. And they said, you'll never work at First Union. I said, okay. And 2 weeks after that, I closed the deal and made $13,000, which is over a quarter of what I was making at the bank. Yeah. So
that got you hooked.
Yeah. And I stayed in it, just things started rolling. I was at Southern Capital Mortgage, no longer around, but the owner knew how to do big deals. And I had like 5 deals at Norwest where I was. And I brought those over, got them all closed, and it, boom, just started getting on a roll and learning how to do big deals. And it was,
It's so exciting when you get into the mortgage business and you start closing big deals.
Oh my gosh,
it's the coolest feeling
It
ever.
is.
I remember working at WAMU, and I was in college, and I was a teller. And I remember
done that.
The girl that always was to my right, cute girl.
Yeah.
And I remember after I quit the bank and went and got in the mortgage business, I came back with my first commission check, and I waited for her to be the one to be the teller for me. And she's all, smiling and wow, oh my gosh. And then I think I asked her out on a date that day. And she said, yeah, absolutely. It was such a good feeling getting that commission check and just,
gives you confidence.
And it's like, I made in, I think, a month what I would have made in like a year there. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But
it's just, as I tell loan officers sometime, I've had a company before I, owned this one. It's like, after you get a deal or two going, I promise you'll get on a roll.
Yeah.
But you got to stay put and, and get that deal going. And once you close a couple, the confidence picks up.
Right.
And you'll do well.
I always tell people it's kind of like farming, right? You're planting all these seeds.
Yeah.
You don't see anything kind of sprout out of the ground for a long time. And then all of a sudden it's like, rain comes, sun comes, and then all the stuff starts popping up and you're like, wow.
And it's hard, and you have to continue to do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
even if you don't see results, right?
Yeah.
You have to keep going.
Yeah. Can't let up.
That's good. So why are you successful?
I've worked hard. I've always had good people around me.
Yep.
And that's, you have to have good underwriters or, good processors.
That's important.
Yeah. And you have to have good mentors, people who taught me the business.
Yep.
And you just have to stay focused. And, back in the old day, like I know some buddies in the business, they'll get a big check. You don't see them for 30 days.
Right. Go off on vacation.
Yeah, I always thought it different. Man, I got a check. I want another one.
Right.
And I've stayed with it. And it's just, it's
keep your head down, right?
It's the personality of who you are.
Right.
And to this day, we closed a $6 million deal with you November, December last year.
Yep.
And I was at it the next week, and the girl who does my marketing, she said, I'll give you credit. Like, you're right back at it. I said, yeah, that's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're investing it and you're putting it into something, right? It's like, if you want to go spend it all, and then, that's a whole different mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. And I want to talk about processors. You brought up processors, right? I feel like there's this and I don't like throwing a lot of people under the bus or talking bad about anyone, but UWM, I feel like, is creating a lazy loan. And I'm seeing this happen where loan officers don't need processors because UWM's handling it all for them.
Right.
And so they don't really have a processor. They're just sort of submitting loans kind of lazily.
Yeah.
They don't have all the details, all the boxes. Like, we're getting 1003s from brokers that aren't complete. They don't even have the REO section filled out.
Right.
They don't have the income, they don't have the asset section filled out. And it's like, what is happening to loan? I mean, I know there's a lot of good brokers out there who do it right. They have a processor, or they don't even need a processor because they are so detail oriented on their own. but like you see this happening to the industry where, and I don't know, I don't want to blame UWM, but I can see where if you handicap by helping, it can kind of turn people into kind of
well,
laziness,
and when
right?
they're doing that, and I think when people, if they're doing that, they're not going to learn the business like they should. You know,
Right.
is my feeling. Like Melissa, who's been with me, she was at my first company, Melissa Flom, and she's with me now. I give her my conforming business if I get one, because I just chose to concentrate on non-QM. That's just what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so she'll, you know, we use, you know, United Wholesale, and she does a lot. I mean, we have self-employed borrowers that we go through conventional,
Yeah.
and she, you know, she's a machine at like getting the tax returns how we have to have them.
Yeah.
To, you know, to get that approved. And if she didn't, if she just threw that against the wall, a lot of other loan officers, that deal would have been declined. But she gets the income, she knows how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's not a W-2 person working at Coca-Cola. Oh, easy,
Right.
boom. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
You know, and now a
I
lot
don't know.
of
I
the
just thought I'd
wholesalers
bring it up
even,
because it seems like something that's I'm seeing in this industry is, you know, why would we get a 1003 with that's not complete? Like kind of, you know, we've been in this
Oh, yeah.
industry a long time.
Yes.
That's the 101 is just completing a 1003, right? And
Well-
that's how you build rapport with a borrower is you go through it with them.
Yeah.
Do you still do that with your borrowers?
No, I just here's what, you know. Most of mine are, you know, are pretty well advanced. But here's what I tell them.
Yep.
It's funny you mentioned those two. I said, like if they, you know, if I've done an app with for them recently or so, they'll sign in, and that information will populate a lot from the old app. And I'll say, be sure to update your liquidity and your real estate.
Yep.
Because those are the
Like
two
a
things.
PFS, right? Like personal financial statement.
is.
You got to always be updating that every quarter. I mean, because things change, the market changes, you know, whatever, right?
No, I sold that house. Well, it's on your 1003. I mean, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, so you need to know the borrower. So, but you
Yeah.
know, I was when my first company I started in '98, the Private Capital Group. Greg Frost, who, you know, was one of the top producers in the country.
That name sounds so
Yeah, he
familiar.
was like the San Antonio, Texas. I think San Antonio, something like that. Top producer, and went to one seminar, and he said, "Hire a good processor, then get out of the file."
Yeah.
He
Don't
said,
stay in the weeds of it.
yeah. And he would say, after and gosh, this is in the 90s, he would send a letter to his clients, said, "Dear Mr. Maddox, don't call me if you need an update. Call Susie. She's a processor. Don't call me for blah, 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 blah." He said it in a way, this is your new contact.
Yeah.
You know, if the deal goes south, she'll bring me into it.
Right.
Yeah, and so forth. And so I've always somewhat done that, because on my first company, I had this Jennifer who was great. She was a rock star processor. Boom, she'd get them all done. She knew if she needed help to come get me.
Yeah.
And that's what I do now. I have, you know, another great processor I've had. And, you know, I was telling you earlier, I've been doing non-QM since I came out 9 years ago or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have not had one turn down. I was telling David,
Yeah.
he did this. I've not had one turn down for income of any investor, because we do our homework up front. We get that income approved.
Yep.
We get it in writing. Here it is. Not one turn down for income.
Cheers to that, man.
Yeah.
That feels good. I think that's, unfortunately, there's not as many of you out there. A lot of people expect other people to do the work, or they just throw it against the wall, and
laziness.
yeah, and I it bums me out, because the amount of money you can make in this industry, you know it.
Yeah.
I know it, and it's there, but people don't want to put in the work.
No, it's just
It bums me out. I'm like, come on.
It's like when I ran Southern Capital, that was the first company I really worked for, and I ended up running that,
Yeah.
you know, for them. And we'd have 20-something loan officers back in the day, and you know, I won't say his name. I'm just still know him well.
To remain
Yes.
nameless. Yeah.
He would come in, he'd get 15 grand or so in a deal.
Yep.
We wouldn't see him for 3 weeks. You know, this is back in the day. Everybody came to the office every day almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before COVID.
Yeah. And he popped in one day about 2:00. I said, "Hey, man, where you been?" He said, "I've been calling on realtors." I said, "Your hair's wet. You just got out of the shower. You ain't calling on realtors." And I said, you haven't done anything since you got your last commission check."
Yeah.
And some people are just, that's how they
They're
are.
wired that way.
Yeah. And then others are just, You just have to be constant.
Yeah.
You just can't give it a break or it'll get away from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And not counting your chickens before they're hatched. That's it. That was a big lesson I learned.
Yes.
You know, and then one wise older loan officer
Mm-hmm.
when I was young was like, don't ever tell your wife what your pipeline is. Don't tell her what your commissions are going to be,
Yeah.
because you want her to be surprised when you know,
Right.
bring home the check. But if you tell her, like, I got 10 deals, they're all going to close and I'm going to make $100,000, whatever it is. And then you come home and you got half of them closed, because we know this industry, some of that happens. And then she's like, well, I thought you were going to, and they already spent it right in their mind or whatever. Yeah. So that was good advice. That was one of the best pieces of advice I ever got.
Well, you know, and it's like, I remember in the old days, loan officers come in and say, hey, can I get a draw?
Yeah.
I said, well, you haven't closed any loans. Well, I have a pipeline. Well, everybody has a pipeline.
Yeah.
But you get a draw
Pipe dream.
Yeah, on what you closed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was Southern Capital. That was a big issue.
I remember doing that. Always draws. No,
you haven't closed anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to give them a draw. I was like,
we all did. We did it.
Yeah, and I was like, and I gave, you know, to the ones that I knew would close.
Right.
You know, you give them, but
yeah,
still, it's like, come on, you just gotta work. Put your head down, work harder.
Yeah.
You're gonna make the money if you put in the efforts and the time.
It is.
You love non-QM.
I do.
Talk to me about that. Why?
Well, the private capital group, my first company, I did a lot with Washington Mutual. You know, they were in my office every Monday. My account rep was.
Yep.
Every Monday, the account rep was there looking at the files we had. Back at the old manual underwrite days, though, you know, the files that thick.
Yep. Transbox.
And she would be in there. And, man, I knew how to sell that product.
The option arm?
Option arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Option arm. Never had one foreclosure that I knew of.
Yep.
Because they were good borrowers. They were, good.
Great borrowers. And that was a great product. Great product.
Yeah.
In fact, they actually give them to old people when they're retiring. And is a HECM. It's the same product. But you have to have education and all that, right? And so when you're going to do a HECM loan, which I don't know if you do those, I don't do them, but I know that that's a reverse mortgage, which is
I don't do those.
It's the same thing as a option arm, sort of.
The option arm, my two best customer sources were self-employed, corporate attorneys, because they had a draw. Then they get the partnership distributions at the end of the year.
Yep.
So they say, I want the cheapest payment.
Yep.
And then I'll pay it down once I get my partnership. So corporate attorneys, who are the most thorough people, I do a loan, they bring me a binder, a blue binder.
Right, it's all mapped out.
Yes. Yeah. And to compare to self-employed, like,
okay,
here's a folder with some stuff in it and so forth. We had to put it together.
Right.
But so started, I've always been in that field. And then after 2008, when we got crushed in the mortgage business, the self-employed bar went away, under an Obama administration, unless you were the perfect buyer.
Yeah.
It's just wanting a loan out there. I had to go work for a couple of banks on straight commission. And, I did that. And it's so funny, and they were good, good banks. And, it was fine. But I was frustrated because I like having my own company. And it was so funny when I was at the last place, great organization, great bank, referred people to go work there, I had like 4 deals, and we used to sell to, I think they sold to Redwood, the jumbo.
Redwood, yep.
And I told the head of operation, I said, send these deals directly to them. They will do these deals. He said, I'm not sending those. I said, Mike, these are good loans. They'll do these deals. I guarantee you they will. He wouldn't. Well, we had one broker relationship that the bank let us use. That was U.S. Bank. Well, I did a lot with U.S. Bank on my company. Mm-hmm. I sent all 4 deals to them, closed them all, made $40,000. And I said, that would have been $40,000 that I lost by just saying, okay, they won't do them. Yeah.
Right.
Made $40,000, and I started my company soon after that.
That's cool.
Okay, market's come back a little bit.
Yeah.
Get back in it.
Yeah, that's good.
Didn't get a check for 5 months, but I was happy.
So what type of non-QM loans do you like the best? DSCR, bank statement? Bank statement, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's self-employed.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just easy. Bank statements, they're so easy. You should never have a turn down if you're working with a good account rep in a good organization. I tell them, apply online. Send me 12, I say 24 months, no matter what. Give me 24 months of your bank statements.
Yep.
Send me your credit bureau. I don't want to ding your credit.
Yep.
I don't want to pull your credit until I know I have a deal.
Yep. Most people have like My FICO or something like that, or Credit Karma. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to see your score. And once I see your score, I know the rest of the, the bureau, what's going to be like. And I'll send those to Sean, send them to account rep.
Yep.
And analyze the bank statements. Boom.
And that's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier,
and they're so thankful.
Yeah.
Because they got turned down by a bank or something like that, right? I mean,
and they jump through hoops.
Yeah.
But we do our work up front. And like I said, I have not had one turn down on income in 8 or 9 years of doing these business because we do it up front.
So good.
Yeah.
Talk about how the industry's changed over your career.
It's
changed a lot, right?
Ever changing. You know, it's just, as I always, tell these young loan officers, save money.
Yes.
Save money.
If you're listening, I hope you're saving.
Yeah. Big homes, big cars are nice.
Yep.
Save your money. If you buy that big home, big car, have money in the bank after, because bad times are coming in our industry. It's just so volatile.
Right.
And, it's just, it's like, what was it, a year or so ago? The non-QM got hit a little bit.
Yeah.
In April, that we're like.
Well, the rates just shot up, and it was like, oh, all the loans we just funded are now worth nothing.
Yeah.
Like.
We're worried about, a lot of the lenders, Sprout.
Yeah.
Some others, are gone.
Right.
And, and I told people, so funny, because we all went through the, what was it in the last crash, 2008, the
financial crisis?
Implosion meter.
Oh, yeah, implodometer.
Yeah, well, all the companies going out of business.
That was fun to watch for about 6 months.
Gosh, yeah. I sat there too.
Yeah. Who's
next? And just drowning in my own sorrow and and misery.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's so funny. I was on some group text with some loan officers and some owners of companies that I'm friends with and a couple of bankers. They started texting. First thing I said, guys, take me off the text. I don't want to hear any negative information.
Right.
It is what it is. Get a plan B.
Yep.
But stop sending negative stuff. Stop reading negative stuff. And I told my staff the same thing. Stay positive. We're going to be okay. And improvise. And so what I started doing right during that time, and it's paying benefits now, I started doing some commercial. Started doing some hard money.
Yep.
And and
there's always a market somewhere.
It is
something.
Yeah.
And I love that you just said, take me off this text chain, because the problem is when we get around negative people, right? It just, you can turn that off. You just have to decide, I'm going to turn it off and I'm going to just start being positive.
Yeah.
Instead of being affected all day long by this negative bombardment of messages that are just not good for you. It's not going to help your business.
Yeah.
So good on you.
Name me any subject that you want to hear negative stuff about all the time. It's going to bring you down. So get off that. Stay positive.
Yep.
Find a plan B.
Yep.
If these loans went away, well, find something that's working.
What else can
and
you
market
sell?
that?
Yeah.
And market that. And market that.
And non-QM has done well. I mean, I know, there's very limited purchase business out there.
Yeah.
But everyone wants cash out right now. Right? They want to kind of stock up their surpluses of money and there's opportunity out there that people are, always opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
And so I don't know if you've done any of our seconds. Have you done any of our closed-end seconds, bank statements?
I have a $800,000 with you now that's approved. Yeah. It's so funny you said cash out. That's what we've been pushing for the last quite a few months, because we have 2 loans with you, about $3 million each. Both of those are cash out.
Yeah. That's what's out there. I mean,
conforming business is, it's going by the way of Fannie Mae.
Right.
Just concentrate on the non-QM.
Yeah, it's good. Glad that you've gotten to be an expert at it.
Yeah.
It's
they're fun.
It's fun. It's fun.
Customers
business.
love it. How many times have you gone to a closing, and with a conforming deal or something, and the realtors are there, no one even thanks you.
It's a thankless job.
It is.
But when you do a loan, like I want to talk about, I know you did Elton John's loan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
A couple of his loans.
Right. Yeah.
So tell us
92.
that story.
Well, let me tell you before that how always do the right thing
Yeah.
in this business.
Yep.
So when I got into the business, and after that year at Norwest, I went to Southern Capital, and I was sitting there and trying to get my little niche, see what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And my very first customer in banking was an attorney named Chris. And so he called me to do his refi.
Okay.
And so this is 1992. And so I did it. It was doing his refi, $364,000. And I didn't lock the rate. I was floating the rate. Had no business floating the rate. I didn't know what I was doing. But everybody else was floating the rates, trying to make more money on the back end. Well, the market got away from us. And after about 60 days, Chris said, I know what happened. So you need to close my deal. Let's get this over with. So I went to the owner of the company and said, look, here's what's happened. I'm underwater $3,000. He said, well, you tell him to hit the road or you pay it because I'm not paying it. Well, I'm like, what? Yeah. He said, I'm not paying it. Yeah. And so I probably didn't. I don't know if I had $3,000 for my name, but I think I had a little pipeline.
Yep.
So I closed that loan, lost $3,000, and the next week, Chris's business law partner called me and said, "Hey, Chris said you did a good job. We want to let you look at Elton John's loan." And since I work out with Chris and his wife now. So
that's a cool story.
Yeah. So not only did I get the $1.8 million through Elton, and I'll go into those a little bit, and did Elton's $3.2 million.
Yeah. I
used to go down to his law firm, big law firm, and sit there for 2 or 3 hours, take $200 worth of pizza, and just talk to the law partners, paralegals, and so forth. So he's probably referred me more business than any single source. And that wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't eaten $3,000.
That was the best $3,000 you ever invested in anything.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. And I always have to tell people, just do
the right thing.
Yes. I mean, that's not the only check I wrote to close. I mean, I've written more than one check over the years back in the day to close a loan. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be in this industry and you want to have a good reputation, that is just, you'd think that people would just know that, right? Like you think, but like that's the problem is, no, I can't. I'm not going to spend $3,000. It's such a short-sighted, small-minded thing, and that's a cool story. So yeah, go into the
So we had Elton's loan in, and the only reason I can say it because the seller published it in the Business Chronicle that Mark Dodson, blah blah blah. So
it's public information.
Yeah. And so we're doing the loan, and the guy who owned the company was just a master of putting loans together. He's the one who taught me how to do it, and it wasn't easy. Just from a large income, whatever. And so we finally put it together, and we closed that at 1.8 million, I think 1.86, closed that one. And then a couple of years later, we did the 3.2 when he took over a whole floor of the condo. Nice. And we did that one. And then when I was doing the 1.8, I never forget, like I said, I was just counting the commission in my head before it closed. Of course, like, oh my gosh, that was more than I ever made in banking. I've only been in the business a year, and it's like, okay, here's what I'm making. That I was doing a smaller loan amount. And I'll never forget, the guy was wearing me out, like calling all the time. I need to close. Can I get a lower rate? Can you drop the fees? It's just never ending.
Right.
And it just sat there. So after it closed, so I just made this much money on this loan.
Big loan.
Yeah. And I made this much money on the guy who wore me out. I'm concentrating on these big ones. And that's what I did after that. And then we did this $3.2 million. It was the largest transaction in Atlanta history at the time, loan-wise. And then,
Did you get to look into his income? Like, did you see, because I know with celebrities, you see like royalties, and you see all the different places they come from, like publishing, from performance, from, all the... So I'm not sure if that showed up on his tax return.
Yeah, we looked at everything, and that's why we got the chance to do it, because banks, even back in the day, have a hard time just of any self-employed borrowers.
Right.
And that was a big loan.
Yeah, and I'm sure he had good attorneys that helped him write stuff off and keep his net down. And
it's just any self-employed borrower is just tougher.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you never got to meet him though?
Never got to meet him. He always did power of attorney, and that was fine. Yeah. Cool. Saw him in concert a couple times, but
Yeah,
I wanted that check more than I wanted to meet him.
Right. Yeah. No, it's fun when you are involved in stuff like that. It's exciting.
Yeah.
To feel like you helped him get his financing for his place.
Yeah, well, you did. And it's like, that's what's good about self-employed bars.
Yeah.
And people, our saying is when banks say no, we say yes.
Yep.
That's what we used for quite a while. People call us. They're sort of distraught, like, my gosh, so-and-so from the bank just referred me to you. And so, the realtors, and so when you turn that deal around, you go from okay, I can't get this house, then you make it happen for them. Yeah, it's a great feeling.
So much gratitude.
Yes.
And referrals come from that.
Yes.
And back to your point of doing the bigger loans versus the smaller loans, you think about, say, $100,000 loan. I think in this scenario, you said it was $100,000. And then his loan was 1.9, right? So that's almost 20 times.
Yeah.
And so you didn't have. So even if both were tough, you didn't put 20 times more work into the 1.9 or 19 more times.
Right.
You put about the same effort if they were both being equal, right? But this one was exponentially harder than the 1.9, the 100.
Yeah.
And so I always think, you could do $100,000 loans and think of the work that would go into that versus $2 million loan and the work that goes into that, and it's a no-brainer. We get paid off of commission off volume. It's
my neighbor lives across the street's one of the top producers in Georgia. Conforming, and his unit I don't know how many units he does, but he's just he's a machine. And I told him, I said, dude, I would die if I had to do that many deals all the time. He never comes out of that house. It's just like so long ago. Yeah, I determined it's like people used to always ask and still do. Well, how much volume do you close? I said, I don't care what my volume was. I care what I made.
Yeah, true.
And that's all. Even
you're
back
not on the Scotsman top, #1 producer or whatever, but you're making plenty of money.
Brokers, brokers, we choose what we can make.
Yeah.
You work for a bank, you got a 75% split, or you have this split. Then at banks, they have a cap on what you can make, and that's the real detriment.
Yep.
From a broker going to a bank, is because they're capping what you can make. Do a $3 million loan, you make $7,500. Do a $3 million loan as a broker, you can make whatever you price it at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. We're coming up on the election year, right? We got 14 months until election, November.
Yeah.
So, what do you see the economy headed?
We're doing a lot of cash outs right now.
Yep.
And it was so funny. I was at in Cabo in May, and
love Mexico.
Oh yeah, we always stayed at Esperanza. I've stayed there.
Great spot
for years, and a lot of people from LA were there, and I met some realtors who were there, and everybody was seeing the slowdown.
Yep.
They were seeing the slowdown. And some multifamily guys were there, they've been just uber successful. And they were like, we just have it, something's happening. And even in Atlanta, on the Gulf Coast, on 30A, I went to 30A this summer.
Which is one of the most beautiful places in Florida.
Yeah. Just unbelievable.
For listeners, not a lot of people know.
And it was the least crowded as I've seen it.
Really?
So and for some of you, you've been down there.
Yeah,
you can't even get into restaurants at 5:00.
Right.
It's packed, and all the locals, and then a guy I know who rents a bunch of homes down there. He owns a rental agency. He said, "Well, what we used to get for $20,000 last year on the beach, we're getting $9,000 now." So a lot of people are pulling back
on that spending.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're pulling back, getting ready.
Yeah, it makes sense. They won't call it a recession yet, but it's a recession. We're in a recession.
Yeah.
Cost of things, spending, people's decisions, what they're putting their money into. So it's for sure. The pullback is real.
Yeah.
What do you think that goes into next year, into the election year? And I think a lot of the folks, it's a big election, right? If we're in a recession or we're in a hard time in the economy, people, they're not just going to maybe vote for Biden because they want change, or whatever it might be. So
elections have consequences.
Yeah.
And whether you like, Trump or like Biden or whatever, you better pick the person or who's going to get this economy straight.
Yeah.
And I just don't I don't see it if a Democrat or Biden's in there, because there's nothing in their past has ever shown that they can handle a great economy. Even with Obama, it was a flat, stagnant growth, the least productive of any post-recession.
Yeah.
It's going to have...
It's going to be an interesting next 14, 16 months, yeah.
It will be. And
you think rates will come down a little bit?
I hope so. They're high right now.
Yeah, we can only hope, right?
Yeah, we're at a high point now. But
I have a crystal ball down here.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, it's I do. I just a question of how much and when. No, everybody's predicting into this year, but I mean, you know more about this than I do on that. So just,
I mean, I think there's some stability that's starting to happen.
I don't think we're going to have a 2008. I don't think we're anything close to any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, black swans come out of nowhere, so no one usually sees that coming, right? The Michael Burry guy that did the Big Short, that guy just made a massive bet on the S&P crashing, like $1.6 billion. He's not been right every time, but he sure hit it out of the park with the 08 stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard he's made some bad predictions and bad bets since then.
Right.
But, a $1.6 billion bet against the S&P is pretty massive.
Yeah, that's a good payday.
if he's right?
Yeah.
If he's not right. So, I mean, you start seeing what people are doing and you just wonder, like, they don't all have crystal balls either, but, maybe these guys can do some analytics and figure out stuff that we don't know. But my hope is that, rates start coming down a little bit. It's a little bit more, sane as far as interest rates, right? I mean, I started in the business and the rates were 10%. So,
gosh, I think I was
in subprime. It was 10 and a quarter or whatever on first mortgage.
I think my top product was a 5/1 ARM at 7 and a quarter. I think, and when I started my first company, we did 8 5/8 interest only with Equibank back in the day, 6-month LIBOR.
Wow,
I was so busy back then, especially when I
was it floating like the
6-month LIBOR, 8 5/8 interest only, 2 points on the back.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird with the new law, like the laws,
right? I know.
Like a floating rate, you have to go with the highest cap or whatever.
I know.
I mean, that's the regulations, right? Just kind of.
Who's more regulated than we are?
We're so regulated.
Yeah, I mean, even what you can make.
Yeah.
On what how they make you structure your commission.
Right.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the way that you have to eat fees if something's disclosed wrong or
contract processing. Which has been, I got a great processor.
Yeah.
So, anytime more regulation comes in, the consumer's always paying more.
Yeah. It's true.
And just hard cost.
Absolutely. Yeah. So no hard predictions. You think, hopefully rates will come down.
Yeah.
Who do you think will be president? Do you have a prediction on that?
I think it'll be the GOP, Trump or DeSantis.
Right. You think he'll swing a little bit to the other side?
Yeah, I just think we're so stagnant. Even the people I know, my friends who are say Democrats or liberal, they're just like, we didn't know it would be this bad. I said, well, there's nothing in his past to say it would not be this bad.
Right. I think people just hated Trump so much that it was just like, oh, what am I gonna? Oh, and there wasn't a real. I mean, there's reasons, right? But it was really blown out. I mean, it was.
Well,
I don't want to get too political. Obviously,
I'm very political. Look, I've raised a lot of money for Rubio.
Yeah,
I was, I was one of his top fundraisers in Georgia, so I was a big Rubio guy.
Yeah.
Then when Trump got in, I went for Trump.
Yeah.
And then after it was all said and done, I was dating a girl, and she was more liberal, and did well, and her parents did well. It's like, what don't you like about any of his policies? Give me one.
Yeah.
Couldn't
do it.
It was about the person, the man, and it's like, gosh, I don't agree with everything either about anybody, but guy held us together.
No one's ever a saint that's in politics.
Oh my gosh,
no one.
No one's a saint in anything.
They're humans, right? Yeah.
Billy Graham,
right?
Yeah, unless you want to get like that,
right?
So so people just need to, elections have consequences.
Well, I think if Trump or a Republican got in office, it would be good for the mortgage business.
Absolutely.
For us, as mortgage people.
Absolutely.
Because of the regulation probably will sort of loosen a little bit, right? I mean, that's usually what happens with Republicans. They kind of loosen little regulations.
Yeah, that's why non-QM came on, in Trump, and we were just rocking after that. Because
So let's talk about referrals, because that's one of the biggest things I think about this podcast is we try to help originators who are listening learn about, like, how do I find non-QM loans? How do I find big, jumbo loans? You were talking about how you put, $200 into pizzas and meeting with attorneys, right?
Years ago.
Yeah. So like now, if someone were listening and they don't have that same referral, business that you get, what would be the best, like if you were to start over and you had to start from scratch and you're new in the mortgage business and you just didn't have a pipeline, where would you put that money to get referrals at?
We do social media. Everybody does. I don't know. Jody does a wonderful job for us on that. Sure. But I've done this for over 30 years. Mm-hmm. And if I was a young loan officer, we're so electronic now, technically driven.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you information about apps I did 20 years ago. That I took the hand app and I went and met with the person.
Yep.
Like, oh my gosh, I remember, here's where you lived, here's what you did, here's what your 401k. Now,
looked him in the eye, you wrote it with a pen.
Yeah. Now,
at their kitchen table.
Yeah. Now it's so, I scan everything. We got a deal here. Yep. Boom. Let's get it to the investor.
Yep.
And it's gone. So, if I was a loan officer, younger, or.
Would you go meet with attorneys?
Oh, yeah. Here's what I would do back in my young days. I talked to John Maddox about his mortgage. Hey, so-and-so referred me, blah, blah, blah. And I talked to you a couple of times. And I would say, hey, Mr. Maddox, I said, are you around Monday or Tuesday? So I'm going to be in your area meeting with someone. And he said, yeah. I said, I just want to stop by and say hello to you. We don't have to discuss the business. Well, I was not going into the area to meet anybody. I just wanted to go meet him.
Yeah.
And I'd give him 2 or 3 days. Mm-hmm. So he could say, oh, no, I'm busy Monday.
Right.
And I said, let me just pop in. So I would go pop in. Hey, Mr. Maddox, how you doing? Just, and see him. I'd get the deal 100% of the time.
Just because you went face-to-face?
FaceTime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too easy for people to say no when you're texting or you're emailing and it's like a nuisance, right? But if and then they can see that you're a human, you have,
suits.
Right.
I was a clothes guy back then, had the suits, and it was,
And you kind of cut your teeth on going door to door with the collection stuff, right? So you knew you could do
banking.
Well.
I was in banking and met with everybody, and it was, and that's just how I was trained.
Yeah.
And nowadays, these young loan officers getting into it, how many people want to go, where do people want to go? Where I'm going to get a lead?
Yeah.
Oh, I have friends in the business that work for banks. Well, guess what? The leads are gone.
Leads are very,
and they're like
very
looking
low.
around.
Yeah.
Here's what's happening in Atlanta. It's a great opportunity for people in the non-QM. Banks and their portfolio products are done.
Yeah, they're not lending.
Yeah, I just got the text this morning. I won't say the bank though. $100 million producer at a big bank. Most of her business was portfolio.
Yep.
Let her go.
She was really good, right? I mean, she was
but it was mainly portfolio.
Wow.
Another person in another bank was mainly a portfolio person.
Mm-hmm.
Let them go because they don't have the portfolio anymore. They need people getting the business
because they need those deposits.
Yeah,
and to lend, and the deposits are down.
Well, and that's where non-QM comes in.
Yeah,
because people who would go to that portfolio at the bank, they're done.
Yeah,
so they don't have an outlet except us.
Yeah, so now is the time to advertise.
It is.
And even whether it's Google using like keywords like those names of those banks,
right?
Because people are going to type in loan like First Republic or loan like right, like whatever big bank that was doing the portfolio lending, they're going to go and they don't have any other tools other than just ask Google where can I go, or they have to ask a friend or an attorney or it's CPA or right.
Well, and the other thing, bankers can be your best referral source.
Love banking. Referral sources. Yeah.
We have a list. I have a list of more originators that work at banks.
Yeah.
because they can't do the self-employed, even though they make $8 million through their bank statements a month, but they take advantage of the tax laws.
Right.
We can't do it. 2 days, I know if I can do that deal.
I used to get the best referrals from bank portfolio loan officers. That was like by far. That's how I got the celebrity loans. That's how I got the biggest loans I ever did.
Right. Same. Yeah.
And you could do that too. Just you got to make relationships, right, with bankers.
You do, and stay in front of them.
Yeah.
Tell them, as I tell people, anybody can send an ad out. Oh, we're the best. Send something that's useful.
Sure.
Bank statement, no tax returns, no W-2s, no pay stubs.
Yeah.
And my best, believe it or not, my best marketing when I get the big deal zone is my own personal LinkedIn. I'll just post, I'll post, Jody makes up our ads. I just post it on LinkedIn. And I've had more people like, man, hey, I got your thing off LinkedIn. I didn't even know we followed each other. Yeah. A deal you have right now that we closed last year, and we're doing a $3 million deal right now for him, was LinkedIn.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are you following attorneys, CPAs, or are they following you kind of on LinkedIn? Does that help?
Yeah.
So they're seeing some of these posts.
Yes.
And they might refer their client or their business. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's
interesting.
You have to be constant. I mean, like Jody every Monday, here's what we're going to work on here. Not like she's on me. Like, I need information. What are we going to do this week?
Sure.
And, I get aggravated because you don't want to do it sometimes, but you have to be consistent with your marketing. When I got into the business, we didn't have emails. We had fax machines. So I'd get to the office because the man who sold Elton his condo, he and his wife's condo, I did his deal too, because I said, who's going to do your deal? And he said, you can. Buddy Weiss, he passed away. He was one of the reasons I was successful. And he said, yeah, you do my deal, I'll give you 6 months free in my office in Atlanta Financial Center.
Wow.
When you open your business, because I told him I was about to.
Cool.
So I would get in the office at 6 a.m. In a suit. I'd get rate sheets. I'd make up a rate sheet. Hey, Mr. Maddox, please send me a referral. Mark, fax it to you. I'd sit there and just fax.
Fax.
Oh my gosh,
fax.
200 people or so just fax. That's why I get deals all the time. Yeah.
What's the equivalent now? I mean, faxes are outdated, but like, what would you do now that's similar to that?
Well, you do. You can do the personal emails,
right?
Instead of the
But like consistently, right? You would just keep emailing them something different.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We're careful not to email too much.
Yeah, you don't want to spam them.
Yeah, so we email all of our contacts. We do Instagram,
text,
Facebook. No, we don't do text. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we probably need to, but we don't. And then LinkedIn, and I'm very fortunate that I've worked in this field of the business for so long that, we're getting. It's so funny because I'm in some of the realtors database. Who can I call for this tough loan? And I've had more calls the last few months than I ever have about DSCR rentals. Hey, I heard
the banks aren't doing them.
No. Yeah. And I tell them about them, and I say, and we have a minimum on our loan. We say 250 or above, and so it's just no income, rental income.
Right. It's interesting to see, kind of to your point earlier about how the rental market is slowing down, the vacation home rental market. So it's gonna be interesting to see if any of these homes start popping up for listings for sale. Because if you can't cash flow and do your DSCR, are these 30A properties going to come up and be like, well, it's not penciling like it was, so maybe I should sell it, and see kind of if that drives some of the market down price wise in those markets.
30A is unique. It's slowed some.
Yeah.
But it appreciated so much that the people still have great equity.
I remember I wanted to buy a house in Rosemary Beach. And I saw the prices just ratcheting up, and I was like, "Oh, this is getting out of control. This is crazy." But there was no listing. There's like 2-3 listings, and they would just go so fast. And
y'all did the $6 million deal for me in Alice Beach, which is right by there.
Beautiful spot.
Yeah, it's just in that house that appraised for 9. then, a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
it's close to 11 now, they said. Yeah.
That area is just magical, though. I mean, the homes are all just the architecture, and
Yeah.
I remember riding bicycles on that street on
Oh,
the
yeah.
30A and just seeing it when it was first being built, and I was
Right.
like, this is going to be special. It's going to be cool.
And if people who have never, just the Truman Show was filmed in Seaside.
Yeah,
Back in the day.
which is a great movie.
Yeah. So that was, that was the old Seaside, which I do love.
Yeah,
Because
all
I grew
those
up.
cute little houses, everything's
Oh.
like cookie cutter, but like just it's like like you're in another world. Like you're in, it's like you're at Disneyland, but for vacation.
But you probably don't remember. I think I emailed you on LinkedIn, and I said, don't be telling everybody in California about this. We're crowded enough right now.
Right.
I grew up going to Fort Walton.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went to Destin.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went to Sandestin, and I said, well, that's what I'm going to buy. Then I went to Seagrove, Seaside, and now it's all the way to Rosemary and all that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So biggest loan you ever closed?
It was with y'all, the $6 million one. I had a $9 million approved before the recession. My first company, it was a $9 million cash out.
Mm-hmm.
Washington WAMU had it approved, and I've always owned non-QM deals, all of my deals forever. I push them through.
Yep.
Don't let them hang out there. You let deals hang out there long enough, something's going to get in the way. Either they change their mind. You need to get deals in and out of your pipeline.
Yep.
In this deal, we were doing for $9 million, and accountant from Atlanta referred him to me, and we didn't hear anything. Everything was going so well, and I'm about getting ready to close it. We're a week away from closing. Like, okay, here we go. And I called the accountant and said, he's not calling us back. He said he died. I never get Brittany, who worked for me at the time for about 14 years. She came in, are you okay? And I said, you know what, Brittany? You don't have the money until it closes, so don't count on it. So let's go.
That was
go to the next one.
$9 million one that just didn't. I
would have had 2 points on it.
I had a couple like that. I had one where they went to jail before it closed. And they couldn't sign in jail because they didn't have their ID, and they wouldn't take the little prison ID.
Yeah.
Oh, that was brutal. I was like, and that was a good commission, and it just didn't close. And then another one where I think he signed docs and something. Either he was about to sign docs or sign docs, and he fell off the face of the earth. And we're like, where did the guy go? And we're like calling all the numbers we have. It's like 4 days later, and my partner at the time was like, let's call them morgue. And I was like, no. Yeah. He's like, you never know. He's like, just rule that out, right?
Yeah.
And I go, okay. And we started calling the morgue, all the different ones, and sure enough.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I was proud of myself on this one when the attorney told me, because this was a cash out to pay his ex-wife. He was Clinton pardoned this guy for something. I just remember he was a Clinton pardon. And I just told the attorney, I said, his accountant, I said, you know what? We could probably close this in the state and still give her money so she don't have to worry about selling the house and so forth. I thought I was pretty smooth, but it didn't work. No, it didn't work. So we didn't close it.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
What about anything you do for hobbies? Like, when you're not grinding away at mortgages, what are you doing?
Yeah. I've always been a fitness guy, stay in shape, and, had hip replacement 2 years ago. I was a big runner, but, I walk, 8, 10, 12 miles most days. Oh. And I've always had dogs, Rottweilers, and lost my last one a few weeks ago.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and just stay fit. And I'm on the board of Back the Blue, which is a nonprofit that 95% of our profit or contribution goes to the Atlanta Police Department. So we take them, like last night, we had deliveries to the 6 precincts and the airport at the morning shift, which starts at 10 at night. Mm-hmm. So those shifts don't get a lot of love. So we had Twisted Taco, the owner I'm good friends with, they delivered at night for them. So we provide scholarships. Cool. We fed over 18,000 police officers. Mm-hmm. And, I tell people, people in other cities will say, oh, that's so great. That's so great. They'll even donate,
Oh, that's cool.
sometimes. And I said, well, you can do it in your community too.
Right.
Yeah. I did it. I did it on my own before I even joined Back the Blue. I just know a lot of cops. I always wanted to be a cop, and I had to quit college for a couple of years. I took the Alabama State Trooper test, so I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And I used to do it on my own. We'd have a shooting or something happened, and I just posted on my Facebook, hey, I need to take zone 2 and 3 and 4. It costs $300. I'd get $1,500 like that.
Wow.
Just on my own, and then I go, take them. And so we're very involved, doing that. And then
that's a tough job being a cop.
Toughest,
especially now.
Yeah.
Really
Well,
tough.
With the crime the way it is,
Yep.
the defund the police,
Yep.
things of that nature.
Which was such a wild idea. I mean, what a thing, right?
And look at the cities; they're on fire.
Yeah.
Now, who wanted to do all that?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I get there's always going to be bad people in every industry, but like, just so weird. It was just such a weird saying, defund the police. I mean,
yeah,
I understand defund the bad police. Maybe you could have said that, but it was what
the whole city. Yeah.
We need cops.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody likes to get pulled over, but if you're doing something wrong, you get you get pulled over.
Well,
or you get you get in trouble. You need that.
Well, I wish I could remember the stat. But out of nationwide, the daily contact and the annual contact that police have with the public, each person, traffic stop to murder, the part that the police use force is so minuscule.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a small portion of the overall of the actual contacts each officer has.
Yeah.
During the year. So yeah, you got bad cops, you got bad mortgage people.
Sure.
You have bad, in every industry, doctors, lawyers, and so forth.
Right.
So
I had a bad mortgage guy sitting in that chair a while back. I don't know if you saw that episode, but
Mm-mm.
he went to prison.
Oh yes.
He was sentenced for 26 years.
I did see that.
I think it was 13 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he went. They're out there.
Oh my gosh.
But I haven't met that many bad mortgage people. I mean, as a wholesale lender, we come across files sometimes that have some fraud in it, and you have to completely ban that broker, and it's rare that happens, but it's it happens.
We had one back in the heyday of the first company.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. We'd get them in, we'd see completely it was fraud.
Yeah.
And I would call banking and finance and say, we have a bad deal. There was nothing in place back then, or they just didn't do anything.
Right.
And we had a deal. 4 or 5 years ago. The day before closing, tough deal, and with another investor. And Brittany, who works with me, she's not anymore, but she was with me about 13 years. Great. She started Googling. She said, something's up with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Aliases. She did some aliases or something. Found him. Mortgage fraud before. He's been in jail before. And we sent that to our investor and said, y'all need to turn. I mean, I'm a day away from my commission, and it's saying do the right thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have, I hope not a lot of people. Some people are like, well, just don't say anything. Close the deal.
Right.
It's there. Let them worry about it. They underwrote it.
Right.
But we told the investor, here's what you got.
Yeah, we can't do it.
Yeah. And they turned it down, and we turned it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
never know what would happen if you let it slide and something could have came back.
Do the right
so
thing.
Hard. Yeah.
It's going to come back to you if you don't.
Not worth the risk. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Do the right thing.
So next 5 years, we don't have the crystal ball like you said, but what are you kind of mapped out for the next 5 years for you?
Well, I'm 62, so I don't want to. It's people always say, when do you want to retire? And I like, my gosh, what would I do?
Yeah.
I mean, I get bored now.
Right.
If it's slow.
Yeah.
And so that's what I love about non-QM. The deals are they're always larger.
Yep.
And so why not? I mean, I'll do non-QM until
you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like I said, I don't want to do Fannie. Melissa in my office does that, but
anyone can do Fannie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is I feel like you probably got the bug of you have to be a specialist. This is something that you are really good at, right? And you've become good at it. You feel pride in that, and you are thanked. There's gratitude.
Oh my gosh.
When you close a non-QM deal, because they're not easy, and because they do need someone that's a little elevated with their knowledge and how to get these done.
Yeah, jack of all trades, specialty of none.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've just I've always done that. And like I said, when non-QM came back, I saw it. I forgot where I saw it or what it was. here it is.
Yeah.
This is because I was so bored doing the basic
during
deals.
the crisis, like 2010, 2011. Yeah.
Yeah. Just look. And the guy who works at Publix and he makes a W-2, his loan's just as important as a guy buying a $3 million home.
Of course. Yeah.
And you know what? This guy's loan is going to be easier as a W-2.
Yeah.
This guy's loan is going to be tougher.
Right.
So get him in it.
Yeah. Pick your battle and pick what you want to do, and that's what you've done.
You can sell Porsches, you can sell Chevrolets, whatever you want to, whatever you want to do.
Right.
Is and do it. You learn it and do it well.
I like that.
And just keep and just even when times are slow. I mean, of course, a slow down year.
Yeah.
But we have every week we market.
Yep.
Every day we market. It doesn't stop, and it comes back like. August and September. Y'all have the two $3 million deals for me now,
okay. And
then you have 4 for $650 guys buying in the same complex. So August, September, and then I got other deal. I mean, August and September could be just a unbelievable killer month.
Yeah,
it's just cause
you've been working.
We stayed at it,
planting the seeds, keep sticking at it. Yeah,
yeah,
great.
Yeah, we've stayed at it.
What's the name of your company again? How do people find you if they want to reach out?
Yeah, Mortgage Capital Advisors, 404-308-8809, but mortgagecapitaladvisors.com.
And last thing I always ask is any shout outs of someone who's helped you along the way?
Oh my gosh. Well, right now, Melissa Flom, who's been with me for, my first company and this one, came back to me about 5, 6, 7 years ago. Jody Jackson, does all of our marketing.
Cool.
And Fritzy, I won't give her last name so everybody doesn't try to use her. My processor has just done a phenomenal job. And then all the referral partners. But my gosh, over 30 years, you look back at this guy taught me how to do this. This one taught me how to do this. This guy's referred me more business than anybody ever. So I'm always just so grateful. I've been blessed.
Yeah.
But as I tell people, I did a video at church. I'm an elder at Peachtree Pres, Big Presbyterian Church, and I did a video, about how you. In the mortgage, you go hit rock bottom, closing your company that you loved and built up, and then until you come back and started this one 9 years ago. And I was like, you know what? You just can't lose focus.
Right.
You got to work harder and harder, and just keep working. And as people would say, oh, you're lucky. No, it's not luck. What you do back here makes things happen up here.
I hate when people say you're lucky.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They just don't know.
Oh my gosh,
don't know.
And it's like. Oh, I wish I had a $5 million home.
Saying you're blessed, that's fine. God's blessed you. Yeah, he has. Or you're a blessed person. Sure. I mean, but maybe that comes back to the beginning where you're blessed because you have a work ethic.
Yes.
Right? Or because maybe even your parents were able to instill things into you that caused you then to become a hard worker.
Yes.
Right? Or the fact that you had that farm and you always saw the value of hard work. Some people, unfortunately, they grow up with not those things, in their life. So they're not programmed at a young age. And so then they just kind of cruise along. So it is harder for some people because they don't have the gift of that discipline or that kind of work ethic. But I mean, not luck.
No.
Not luck.
You know what? If you want to go, as I tell people, like, I was a PE major at Auburn. I always wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be a cop. Things worked out for me at the end for me because I think I'm doing what I really needed to do, for my personality. It's like, if you want to go work for the state of Georgia, we'll go work. Work hard, put in your 20 years, retire, go do something else. Like my nephew joined the Army. He quit college, joined the Army. He's the hardest worker. I said, well, good. Put in 20 years. Go do this. Just find your calling.
Yeah.
And work hard for it. It doesn't not mean the financial end of it. I mean, just work hard at what you do, then it will come.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me out. Yeah. Good
Absolutely.
to be in San Diego. 98 degrees in Atlanta.
Yeah, and it's cooler today, and the sun's gone. I don't know where it went.
I feel sorry for y'all. I know it's tough. Yeah.
When the sun doesn't show up, we're like, what? We're paying so much in real estate and taxes and all this stuff here in California. We at least need the sun to make us feel like, justified that we were paying all this money.
Well, y'all are doing well.
I do love Atlanta.
No, I do too.
I got to come back and visit. I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah, it's been good to me, and Yeah, I love Atlanta too. It's just been in Atlanta longer than I have been in Alabama, so it's home.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. If you're listening, please share this podcast with your friends. That's how we grow, and that's how we keep bringing you great guests like Mark here. And thanks for listening. Like, share, comment, please. And again, thanks for watching.
The $1 Million Mortgage Experience Podcast.